Alright, this is a video on the polynomials, on classification and general information and how to add and subtract polynomials. I'll probably make another video just to show you the add and subtract methods for adding and subtracting polynomials in another video. Alright, so in this video, first thing I want to talk about is what is a monomial, or monomial is what some people call it, monomial. It is a sum or difference of monomials. Monomials. So what is a in this slide here, I want to do a monomial and a non-monomial. Alright, so what is a monomial? Monomials are like when they're a constant or a letter and a letter, just a variable, or it could be the product, which means multiply. Product means the answer to a multiplication problem, but the product of a letter and a variable. So let me give you some examples. Alright, so we can have a constant or a letter or number, that's a monomial. Alright, we could also say negative 3x is a monomial. We could square that, as long as it's positive, that's a monomial. And we could say 4xy squared, that is also a monomial. Alright, so all these are examples. Now, a non-monomial would be something like 4x minus y. Now, the negative, because it has a subtract sign in it, it makes it a binomial, which we'll talk about later. But this is two monomials together to make a binomial. But it's not a monomial. All right. So we have it only can be multiplied with a variable and error. If you see anything that's a plus or minus or a divide, it's not a monomial. Alright, so here's another one. Let's try this one. This one's negative 0.3 and a negative exponent. Well, you can't have a negative exponent. But if you noticed over on the monomial side, the good side, it's a positive. Alright. Now, you could have a decimal. Let me give you an example. You could have a decimal as a like this. That is a monomial, because you can think about it, you can make it at 0.5x and that will work. Alright, let's do some more non-monomials. So 2 over x cubed. Alright, so you can't really do this one, so that you can't make it a whole number or a decimal, you know, where it's just product. This one has a divide sign between it. Alright, so we can't, this is a non-monomial. This monomial over here, the one that we were talking about earlier, you can simplify 1/2 to a decimal, which makes it 0.5, which there's no fraction now, just multiply. Alright, so that's the difference in the two. We have a monomial that is a letter or a number or the product of the two. Alright, you can have a positive exponent. Again, a non-monomial monomial is where it has an add or subtract in between it. If the exponent's negative, or it has a divide sign in it. Alright, so let's talk about degrees of monomials. The sum, the definition is the sum of the exponents of variables. Only variables, not constants. Constants is just a plain number. Only variables. So we're going to count the exponents on the letters only. So the first one, degree of monomial is we're going to count them. So I'm going to say 4 plus 3 is 7. So my degree equals 7. See these two, we just add those two up because they're on the variable. Alright, this one, it's going to be 1 plus 1 because I don't see an exponent. I know there's a little 1 there. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So the degree here is 2. Alright, on the third example, you see that we don't have an exponent. Because we don't have because we don't have a variable, this does not have a degree. So we know the degree is 0. We have none. Because it has to have a variable with an exponent on it, all right? Not just a plain constant or plain number. All right, what is a term? A term is a monomial. It really is just a monomial. And terms are separated by pluses or minus. So if you notice here, I have a plus. That means this is a term and this is a term. So this one has two terms. All right, now this one has a minus and this one has a plus. So this one is separated. This one is broken into three sections. What I call terms is like sections. So this is three terms. And you can have 4 terms, 5 terms, 6, 10. It doesn't matter as long as it's being separated by a minus and a plus. Remember, it cannot be a divide, and it's not a multiply. It's always the terms are always the monomials are separated by pluses and minuses, and so that makes them into different terms. All right. All right, so in this case here, we're going to talk about polynomials. All right, a polynomial, excuse me, a polynomial is a set of monomials or a sum or difference of monomials. All right, so this is a polynomial. It's a monomial. All right, this is a monomial. It is also a. All right, and so this right here is also a polynomial. We have this is called a binomial because we have two terms here. Remember, a term is separated by a plus or minus, and so this is actually a monomial and another monomial, and together they make a binomial. All right, and so this is the same way with this one. This one, there's the plus and minus, and so you can see that it has how many terms? It has 3 terms, and so there's 3 monomials, and so this is called a trinomial. So how do we find the degrees of polynomial? Degree, remember, is going to be the polynomial. So what we're going to do here in this case, the degree of polynomial is that we are going to look for the degree of the term with the highest degree. All right, so we're going to look at each term and we're going to count how many their degrees are. So like this one is 7 and this one's 3. We can't count the numbers, it's only there. So the highest one is 7. So my degree of polynomial here is 7. That's my degree of polynomial. All right, this one has a 1. So this is 2 plus 1, so that's 3. Let's say 2 plus 1 is 3. This one is just 4. And this one doesn't have 1, so it is 0. Remember, it's only on the variables, and there's no letter here. So the highest degree here, the degree of polynomial here, is 4. All right, standard form and the leading coefficient. So whenever we want to put it in standard form, the first thing we're going to do is we want to find the highest degree. All right. So when we're looking for this, we're looking for the highest degree to the least degree. All right. So this one has a 1. That's a 5. That's a 2, and this one is 0. Remember, there's 0 degrees there. All right, so we're going to put them in order. So here we go. So since 5 is the highest, we're going to say negative 7x to the 5th. Then the x squared is next, so we're going to say 4x squared. Then plus 6x, because x has a 1 on it, and of course the 9 will stay at the end. Now the leading, which means leading means like if you're in a race, you're in front. Coefficient means number. Okay, so coefficient means a number, just a number. And leading means the number in front. So basically we're looking for the number that's in front when you put it in standard form, and that's that right there. So this is the standard form, but the leading coefficient is negative 7. So here's another one. I want to put this in here to kind of get kids to think. Here's y to the 5th power. So it's already in standard form because it's in the highest degree and there's no other ones with it. The key thing is what is the leading coefficient? Well, you got to remember that this really is 1y to the 5th power. 1y to the 5th power. How many y to the 5th powers do you see? You only see one of them. So that means that since that's the guy in the lead, that is my leading coefficient. Leading coefficient is 1. All right, this is a fun one. This is the one where we're classifying them. So we're classifying polynomials. So if the degree is 0, it's called a constant. That means it's just a number. If the degree is 1, it's a linear. That means it's going to make a straight line. 2 is a quadratic. That means it makes a parabola or U-shape. 3 is cubic. 4 is quadric. And 5 is quintic. Anything that's higher, that has more than 6 or more degrees, we say it's the 6th degree or the 7th degree or 8th degree or 10th degree. Whenever we're looking at if it has one term, that means there's no pluses or minuses between them. It's a monomial. When there's two terms, that means there's a 1 plus or 1 minus between two monomials. Then it's a binomial, okay? Because there's two of them, two monomials together, added up or subtracted. If there are 3 monomials or 3 terms, then we know it's a trinomial. Anything over 4 or more is called a polynomial. All right, so let's have a little fun with these. I like these. These are like some of my favorites. So I'm going to put a problem up here, or actually an expression, and we have to come up with the title of it. So I'm going to put it right here. So it's 5n to the third plus 4n. All right, so my highest degree is a 3. Okay, so that means it's cubic. All right, I have 1 plus. That means I have one term here and another term here, so it's like 2 sections. So 2 is binomial. So this is called a cubic binomial. And that's what we classify that as. That is a cubic binomial. Cubic for the degree, and how many terms there are makes the other one. So let's do a couple more, and then we'll be done. All right, so let's try this one here. Oop, I wrote my y like a 6. Alright, so now I need to look at the highest degree. It looks like my highest, this one's a 1, and this one's a 0, because there's no variable there. My highest degree is a 6. Alright, so we know that it's a 6th degree. And how many sections are there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a polynomial. So we would say this is a 6th degree polynomial. And that's what we'd call this one. A 6th degree, because it has the 6 as the highest exponent. Or degree, you know, the sum of the two of the exponents. 6 is the highest of the group, each term. All right, I got one more. All right, so what would this one be? All right, so I have a exponent. There's the exponent of 1, because you don't see 1, so you know it's there. So it's a linear. So we know it's a linear one. How many terms do I have? Well, I only have 1, because there's no pluses or minuses. Now, some of you may say, well, there's a minus right there, but that means it's a -2, not a -2. I mean, not, you know, like you're subtracting the polynomials or the monomials. All right, now if I had another variable or number on the other side of that subtract, then it would be different. But this is a negative. So it's -2x, so it's a linear, and it's one term, so it's a monomial. So linear monomial, no, sorry, monomial. If I could spell today, that's linear. All right, hope this helps.